Pushing record. We are recording, and welcome back to the Zoomathon for the Philanthropreneur Foundation. And our next speaker is David Smith. And I won't say that another David Smith called me and was asking, am I speaking on your platform? No, you're not the right one. You're but you're all the way from California, right?
Yes, I am.
And see, we have a national audience here and a national presenter, so I can brag about that. But I am now going to turn over the platform, introduce yourself, and tell us. It's about money mindset, I believe. So
yes, it is.
You've got the platform.
Okay. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay.
Absolutely.
Everybody nod if you can hear. All right, fantastic. My name is David Smith. I live in beautiful Oceanside, California. I've actually been to Las Vegas, lived in Las Vegas twice. I was stationed there in the late 80s with Nellis Air Force Base.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there with the 474th Fighter Wing before they closed. So that's if you're there recently, you won't know anything about them. But I was there with 474th Fighter Wing. They sent me off to Germany. I fought in Desert Storm, based out of Germany. Went to Abu Dhabi, and then I went to Missouri, and then always dreamed of going back to Vegas. And so after a few years, we moved back to Vegas, and I lived there for about 10 years. Then we moved to California. So here we are. It's interesting, Dr. Victoria mentioned the word philanthropreneur, and she talked about 2012. I had the similar word pop into my head probably around the same time. And I can prove it. You can go back to my YouTube channel. I've got like 6 videos, and one of them is about from 8 years ago. And it's talking about you go from nonprofits need to be more like entrepreneurs. I approached it from the idea that people need to be entrepreneurs so that they can change the world. I feel like people should have a home business so that they can go from financial struggle to financial stability, and then from financial stability to financial significance, where you're changing the world, whatever your passion is. For me, it's feeding hungry kids, but that's neither here nor there. So I'm familiar with philanthropreneur idea. We just approach it from a different standpoint. So let me get right into this. I don't have slides, just going to tell you a couple of stories. Just wondering, has anybody here ever used a GPS before? Sure, a few people have used a global positioning system, GPS. You go way back, like me, you used to have maps. My parents used to get the AAA maps. Some people here may not be that old, but my parents used to get the AAA maps, and we would draw, highlight them out to where you're going to take the trip. And then we had computers come along, and we got MapQuest. And MapQuest, you could go online and you could put in your destination, and then you'd print the directions out. And so hopefully you had someone in the car next to you that would read you the directions, because otherwise you're trying to drive with one hand and read directions with the other, and you're all over the road. So you had MapQuest. Then we got GPS. And GPS isn't new. The military had it all along. But when I say we got GPS for consumer use. And one of the early ones was Google Maps. Everybody loves Google Maps, right? I remember back in the early days of Google Maps, you would sign in and you'd put in your destination, and they used to pop up a warning that says, don't follow Google Maps blindly. The programming isn't perfect. We don't know exactly where you're going to end up. And so sometimes you would go down, you would follow the directions, and you may end up where there's a road out. You may find a bridge out. Some people reported they would end up in the middle of a field. So, I mean, this was years and years ago, and I was thinking, I'm developing this story, and I was like, man, I wish I had a more recent example of a Google Maps failure. And sure enough, the universe answered. So Mother's Day, for those of you who don't know, I'm a speaker and a coach, but I still work for FedEx. I'm the king of home businesses and side hustles. So I work for FedEx, run side hustles. And so on Mother's Day, I volunteered to work because we had extra volume to get out. And usually when you volunteer to work on a weekend, they will give you as much of your original route as they can, but everybody's spread out. And so I had about 5, 6, 7 stops that were not in my normal area. And I'm thinking, no problem. I got GPS, I got Google Maps on my phone. So I did all of my area. I had these last 7 stops to go. And I start typing in the addresses and following the Google Maps to each stop. And the third one, I typed it in and I'm looking at the directions and my gut is telling me those directions are not right. There's just something wrong with those directions. It's not right. I was like, you know what? If they are right, it will save me time. So I'm just going to follow them. So I follow the directions. I make this turn. I make that turn. I go around this big sweeping corner. And sure enough, my gut was right. The place where I'm supposed to turn left is not a road. There was a sidewalk that was about 6 to 7 feet wide. And yeah, I guess you could have driven on it except for the big concrete poles that were on each end of this thing to keep people from driving on it. But what Google Maps did is it saw this wide concrete sidewalk and thought, hey, that's a road. And it was wrong. And so that happens sometimes with GPS. Now, how does this relate to money mindset? How does this relate to business? When you have a GPS, you need 3 things. The GPS gives you step-by-step directions. It tells you how to get from point A to point B. And in our money life, sometimes we need step-by-step directions on how to get from point A to point B. Another thing that GPS can give you is accountability. Have you ever turned right instead of left? And the GPS will tell you, hey, you weren't supposed to do that. It'll recalibrate. It'll tell you where to make a U-turn and get back on track. So it gives you accountability. But the third thing that you need to have for your GPS to work right in your car and in your financial life is the programming has to be right. And most times today, Google Maps is right. Their programming is right. But as we just saw, that sometimes programming can be wrong. And so if your programming is wrong in your business life, if your programming is wrong in your financial life, you're not going to get to your destination. But how would we even know that our programming is wrong? I'll tell you another story. Back in 1976, I was getting ready to go into the 4th grade. And so getting ready to go into the 4th grade, we were doing back to school shopping. And one of the places that we loved to go back then was Sears Roebuck Company. Remember, this is the 70s. I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Walmart was not the big thing back then that they are today. They were focused on rural areas. And so our department store of choice was Sears Roebuck. And I loved going to Sears with my parents. They would go off and do the shopping and they would let me do whatever I want. And of course, getting ready to go into 4th grade, one of the places I would go to the toy section, wander around in the toys and see what was new and what I wish I could have. And then I would go off to the sporting section. And I loved baseball, still do to this day. Bummed that COVID has knocked them out. I've been a baseball fan since I was 6 years old. So go to the sporting goods section and you'd grab those baseball mitts and feel that leather, swing the bats in the aisles and play with the balls. And on this particular day, for some reason, I decided to walk over to the binoculars. So I pick up the binoculars and I'm looking around the Sears and I can see, hey, that's the automotive department. Hey, there's the men's department. Hey, over there, there's the tools and the garden section. So I'm using the binoculars and I can see the signs above each one of these sections. And about that time, my mom got done with the back to school shopping and she said, it's time to go. And I said, Mom, look at this. You got to see this. This is really, really cool. So I hold up the binoculars and I'm going, look, that sign over there says women's clothes. look, that sign over there says shoes. And my mom looks at me and says, are you trying to tell me that you can't read those signs without the binoculars? And I looked at her like she was crazy. Of course I can't. That's why they make binoculars, right? And she said, put the binoculars down. And she would point at a sign and I couldn't read it. Point at another sign and I couldn't read it. She said, great. Looks like it's time for you to have an appointment with the optometrist. So it turns out binoculars are used for something a way more distance than what I was using them for. Here I was getting ready to go into the 4th grade and had to go to the optometrist, took the eye test, and sure enough, I needed glasses, which is a great thing when you're getting ready to go into the 4th grade to find out you need glasses, of course, but that's a whole other story. But the lesson here is this. I had no idea that I had a problem. If you would have, you could drive down the street and see eye doctors. I saw eyeglasses for sale. My mom wore glasses. I was completely unaware that I had a problem. Glasses were all around me. I didn't know that I had a problem until I took the test. When I held up the binoculars and I could see things that I couldn't see before. And then my mom said, oh, that's not right. And so she took me to the eye doctor and had the test and I got my vision fixed. Well, this happens to us with our money mindset. We may not be aware that we have something blocking our money mindset. We may not be aware that we have a negative money story affecting us. Earlier, Lisa was talking about how she had money guilt. And earlier than that, Erica was on and was talking about budgeting and getting out of debt. Well, you can have the best budget in the world. You can have the best debt elimination plan in the world. But if you have a money mindset block, if you have money mindset problems, that's going to cause your budget to fail. You could be $20,000 in debt, win the lottery for $20,000, pay off all your credit cards, and you will be back in $20,000 of debt again in 5 years with the wrong money mindset. So what I've done is I've developed what I call the 7 symptoms or the 7 signs that, I'm going to try to share my screen here because this is, oops, let's see. Everything was going so well. There it is. 7 signs your mind is blocking money from your life. 7 signs that your mind is blocking money from your life. If you will text money to 55444, I have a video called 7 Signs That Your Mind is Blocking Money from Your Life. And so the same way that I held up those binoculars and realized that I had a vision problem, in the same way that my mom took me to the optometrist and confirmed that I had a vision problem, this video will take you through 7 signs that your mind is blocking money from your life. I mentioned money guilt. It's funny that Lisa had that because that's one of the signs. Another one is procrastination. If you are procrastinating and taking money-making activities, that's a sign that your mind is blocking money from your life. And you don't have to be broke or living paycheck to paycheck to have a money block in your life. You could be making $100,000 a year, and you have a money block that's keeping you from making $200,000 a year. You could be making $200,000 a year, and you have a money block that's keeping you from making $1 million a year. So the same way I used the binoculars and the optometrist to find out that I had a problem with my vision, check out this video and find out if you have one of the 7 signs or more that you have a mind, the programming, the subconscious programming is blocking money from your life. So again, text money to 55444, and I will get that right out to you, and I will try to take that off of screen share. So hopefully, I don't know if I have any time left, but hopefully you found value in that little talk today. Maybe have some Q&A.
Yes, you do have about 3 minutes. Yep.
About 3 minutes. All right. So if
I
anybody
know
has
that's.
any,
Oh no, wait a minute. I'm not. Am I reading this right? Yeah, no, you maybe 4 or 5.
no, that's fine.
Any questions? That's maybe I'll throw it out there. I'm over here doing buttons and stuff. Okay,
Oh, there it is.
To get yours off a screen share, go to the top. There you go.
There we go. Found it.
All right. There you go. Now you're back to normal. Any questions about money mindset? There's like I said, like he mentioned earlier, Erica was talking about budgets. Once again, you have to have the right mindset to even look at a budget, to even,
Exactly.
yes, you can name it anything, but you have to have the right mindset to even go. It's just like a diet. Nobody likes the word diet, but unless you have made the decision to be healthier or that you need to make a change because of whatever reason, it's always going to be a negative word that's out there. So having the right mindset, that's just like with motivation, emotions, and all of those things. You have to put it in the positive part of your brain versus it's always a challenge.
And that's true. And that again, that works with nonprofits.
Yeah.
Nonprofits could be raising even more money. There are things that are blocking. They're holding. T. Harv Eker used to call it the money thermostat. He said you have a money thermostat that you're set to making $50,000 a year. And if you ever make more than that, you're going to find a way to get rid of that excess. If you're running a nonprofit, you might have a mindset that you can raise $500,000. But what if you could eliminate some money blocks and now your nonprofit is raising $2 million,
Yeah. What I call
$5 million?
Yeah, I call it the poverty mindset or charity think.
Yep.
That their mindset is, as a nonprofit, they never have enough money to do whatever they need to do.
Yeah.
And charity mindset is, or charity think is, we're a charity. Everybody should give us everything free. And that can kill you. I mean, like not literally, but it can bring the organization down because no, you're an organization that needs to be perceived as a well-run engine, a well-run business. And so therefore you're going to have to stop expecting everybody to give you everything. Big businesses pay for services. And if you always think that you're poor and can't spend money, that poverty mindset, then you'll never get out of that bubble. And so, yeah, that's two concepts that I sort of teach all the time. Okay, I am looking at this. Does anybody have questions, additional questions for David? I mean, I actually signed up for the mindset on Udemy. I didn't finish it because this a little thing called Zoomathon got in the way. But I did sign up for that and is going through it. Maybe after all of this is done in next few days, I can get to it. But I also have to get a book published and out by July 1st. So things are happening. But
and thank you so much, Dr. Victoria, for the time to be here today, the opportunity to be here.
Absolutely. I'm just glad that everybody heard my call and we're willing to step on board to survive through 8 hours of me doing that. I don't know what was on my mind to make this 8 hours. I have no idea. I am totally blitzed. I must have been in quarantine mode thinking I had to get out the house for 8 hours. 8 hours, that's not bad. I do that every day. No, it will never be 8 hours again, but hopefully you'll stay in touch. And Once again, this recording will be up on the Philanthropy Show on YouTube. And if there's no questions for David, thank you very much. And I am closing down this recording. Thank you so much.